Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am so excited for you all who have tuned into this week's live episode. If you're new here, this is going to be a little bit of a special episode, but typically I am here every week sharing tips, strategies, mindset breakthroughs to help you land higher paying clients in the form of corporate contracts, and that includes contracts with universities. I've worked with clients who've worked with nonprofits, as well as moving into the K 12 space. So, here we're talking all things of how to land contracts, doing the brilliant and amazing work that you do. And typically, that's what our lives are about. But today, something really interesting lined up so perfectly. So, I was a part of a program last year, and one of the first things that our leader had us to do was to write a letter to ourselves on where we see ourselves 1 year from essentially joining the program and starting the joining the membership and starting the work. And so I had a notification come up on my calendar that says, and she wanted us to read the letter 1 year from the day that you wrote it on live. And so, about a couple of days ago, because I had set it on my calendar as a reminder, I got a reminder to read this letter aloud on live. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And then as it got closer, I'm like, oh, this is already on Wednesdays, like where the day that I typically go live every week on my page anyway. Now, this literally worked out perfectly because when I wrote this letter, I was not doing weekly live episodes on Wednesday, but literally the date that I was supposed to read this letter is 4/17/24, which is today. So aligned amazingly. I did notice the letter maybe a few weeks ago as I was packing up and things like that, but I have not read the letter fully. Like, I literally saved it for this opportunity to read it aloud with you. And the reason that I thought this will work well into my episode series is because a lot of times what I'm more leaning into, because what I'm finding as I'm having conversations with you all, is that it's not always just about the strategy of landing corporate clients. It's also about, setting the appropriate goals, how you see yourself, envisioning yourself, landing these contracts, being the person who can put their prices out there, with corporate, who everyone seems to think, is this scary entity, is bigger than you, and you're a small fish in a big pond, is kind of what I hear a lot. And it nothing really could be further from the truth, quite honestly. You are just as big of a fish as an expert as they are as a corporation. So this letter really, again, I remember some of the things that I wrote, but I'm interested to just sit here and process it with you guys. But this will be a showcase of how myself, and at this time developing more corporate contracts for my business, how I really sat down and put some goals down for myself. And I'm not going to leave anything out. So I'm going to share with you the things that I achieved. And again, how I decide to move forward based on the things that I shared in this letter. So my intention and hope for you as you're watching this is that you, number one, get empowered by someone who's in your shoes. Not only do I teach this, but I'm actively getting contracts in my business and pitching. Like, we have some pitches out right now. So this is something that I'm actively doing and cultivating and strengthening during my teaching as well. So you'll get to see what it looks like from someone else who's in your shoes, setting goals, doing those things. And then I also want to share with you kind of how I'm coaching myself now through these things, because I'm a totally different person than I was when I wrote this stuff. So we're going to dive in and talk about it, but I just wanted to kind of set the tone for how this episode is going to go, because it's a little different. And pollen is getting me today, so you will see me wiping my nose. But this episode will be a little different, and I want to make sure that you all really sit back and take in the things that I'm sharing. And again, I've been going through this space. Last week I talked through self-coaching, so I'm going to do that live with you guys, and I'm excited for this. So if you don't know me, my name is Kirsten Allen. Nice to meet you. Again, you're dropping in on a special episode. So if this isn't your jam, the mindset piece, the goal setting piece, and how to break past some of these things, then definitely come back with us in the coming weeks. We're going to get back on our schedule. But today I just wanted to be really vulnerable with you guys. So that being said, let's go ahead and get there. So this is what it looks like. It's not long. We'll get through this rather quickly. And as I mentioned, like no lie, I wrote 2023 by accident, but it says read on 4/27/24. Okay, so here's the letter. All right. So it says, Dear Kirsten, congratulations. You did it. You created a $400,000 business. You're depositing $10,000 consistently into your personal account. Your business and personal credit cards are paid off. Most importantly, you're loving what you do. You're working with clients you love. Shout out to closing that NFL client, doing the work that you love, and playing full out. I celebrate you for the steps back you took in 2023. That set you up for the layup. You are freaking bomb. And I said freaking. Continue to lean further into God as you continue on this journey. All that you've gone through prepared you for this. Anxiety and depression are gone. You are you 2.0. Your son is thriving and you're consistently building a relationship with him. Your marriage is thriving and you are growing into what you both need in this phase. Forbes 30 Under 30 is yours. You are most grateful for health, family, and peace of mind. Remember, you are not your mistakes. Those things are dead. Today is a new day. Spend your days leading and serving and spending time with your family, enjoying the fruit of what you created for many generations to come. Cheers, Kirsten. Keep elevating and setting the standard. All right. So that was the letter. Okay. All right. So let's kind of dive into this really quickly because, again, this will be a lesson. It's not just me sharing this, but I want to tie this into really how this plays out, not in the corporate not just in corporate contracts, but just also going after big opportunities. So the first thing I said was, congratulations, you did it. You created a $400,000 business. You're depositing $10,000 consistently into your personal account. So let's start with that one first. First, that goal, as of today, has not been hit yet. And I think that when I wrote this, I still believe this is a goal that I'm still on track for this year. I'm actually tracking for a little bit more on the revenue side, but I definitely am still tracking towards paying myself consistently at that level. And when I think about that goal and think about where I was then, I put this down as, a aspiration, or what should I say, more of a hope, versus having a consistent plan versus really stepping into my expertise and owning it fully. So I think at this time I was really, just like, oh, well, this will be great. I want to make sure that I'm making way more than I made in my current job. And also, again, depositing that amount into my account was important to me, which it still is. The difference between now and how I'm leading myself moving forward is now I have a lot more. Number one, I talked about this in one of my posts, I think, when I shouted out my mentors. I really leaned into more of the mindset, more of who I need to be in order to achieve the things that I wanted. Because and maybe many of you, especially if you come from a corporate background, are like this or have experienced this. In corporate, it's just like the more you do, the more you get, right? The more inputs, the more time you put in, the more you do these things, you get more results. You get those promotions, you get those opportunities. However, when you're creating something, what I recognized and talked to the ladies on one of my mastermind calls, I think yesterday, was it's not, when you're creating, it's not about doing more. It's about doing things in an aligned way. It's about truly leaning into what your purpose is. And if you are operating in purpose, then it should not feel like and I don't want to say this in a wrong way because everything takes work, but it shouldn't feel laborious. That's what I should say. It shouldn't feel like, you are just kind of grinding away. I'm just thinking the picture that popped into my head is like someone who works in, construction. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But for me, if I was to work in construction, I'm like hammering things all day, I wouldn't be able to connect with that at all. Right. So the act of doing more does not necessarily create more. If you're someone who's creating a business, who, has a passion project, a purpose project that they're looking to do, what I have learned is that the aligned action takes you much further. The faith and the trust to, that the Lord or whoever you believe in is going to stand in the gaps for you takes you much further than basically trying to swing the axe as many times as you can until the thing breaks. Rather than doing that, maybe you need a different tool, right? That doesn't take as much brute force, that's more aligned with who you are, and allows you to break through things a lot easier. So when I'm creating these goals now, I'm looking not just at what's the pretty thing at the end of the line. I'm also looking at who do I need to be? How do I need to show up? What do I need to put in to achieve these things that I'm desiring? Because it's not what my mind typically would go to. And this is another thing that I'll share with this of breaking down different mindsets or breaking through certain mindsets so that you can achieve different goals. Again, from my experience, it's doing more. Even if you don't like the things, just go ahead and just power through it, show up, do everything that is said to be done and you'll achieve it. And that's not the mindset of an entrepreneur, someone creating something in their purpose. To the extent that you are fully in alignment, that you show up about something that you're passionate about, that, even if 0 people are on or 0 people are looking at you, you're still going to show up because you're driven through the passion. To that extent is also the extent of your success. When you are, just anxious and just trying to do all the things and I just kind of see all of what I used to do, not even just a year ago, but even when I started my business, of how I just was like staying up to 2, 3 in the morning, recording mini courses and trying to do all the things that, they said needed to be done and still not seeing the results that I wanted. When I think about myself now, although these specific goals aren't created yet, the success that I've seen, the growth and trajectory in my business has been so much more easier because I've really stepped into my purpose and I've really owned it. And I think that another part of this is not just knowing what your purpose is, but are you actually owning it? Are you trying to convince yourself that, this is a fluke, or no one's going to pay attention to me doing this, or they're not going to get it, and all these other things? If those things are still running through your mind, then that's showing up through how you're showing up in your business or how you're showing up, in your spaces where you're communicating what you do. So the things that have changed is really my mindset around goal setting, my mindset around how I'm showing up and what I'm offering, and not just doing the things that I think is going to, add 2 cups, stir, and you get the cake, but really thinking about, I'm creating something here. So when I get to have fun with it, it does not have to look like anything that I have seen. It does not have to be a repeat of a corporate job in a business. Like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. So letting go, being free from those things have really helped me. So let's move on. So I said your business and personal credit cards are paid off. That was my other one. Now we have made progress here, but all of these have not officially been completed just yet. And how I'm leading myself for thinking about this as well. Again, switching of the corporate mindset. I think that's what the theme of this is about. When I wrote a lot of this stuff, I'm still thinking from the mindset of typical employees, right? Oh, credit is bad. Oh, pay everything off. Oh, be debt free and all these things. Debt free is great, but as a business owner, we take on debt. We take risk. We do certain things that wouldn't make sense to the average employee because we're creating something bigger. So if I take out, $20,000 in debt in order to do marketing or whatever the case may be to guide my business to make another $100,000, I would do that all day. But if you talk to someone or you think about the mindset that typically employees or, just folks around us have, they will be like, why would you do that? Like, no, be debt free. You shouldn't take on debt. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. You should do it this is how I'm leading myself now. As long as you have a plan on how you're going to get your return on your investment. Or sometimes you really just may have to take a financial risk, which could mean a loss, but it could also mean a gain. So as I'm thinking about, paid off and debt free and all of those things, I'm again switching my mindset from someone who just has, one stream of income and a 9 to 5 job that really requires no risk. You just show up and do your work every day, you get paid. So you really don't have to, take a risk on a business and things like that. Most of your credit or utilizing your credit will be for probably more enjoyment and things, that aren't necessarily going to drive a return. However, they just provide you with some type of enjoyment in the moment. And that's where that narrative comes from. Don't overspend what you don't have. Don't go out and take this vacation if you got to, piece it together on credit cards. That's one mindset. But I understand in this mindset as a CEO, I do have to invest. I do have to take financial risk. And that may mean using credit lines. However, that also means I have to be strategic about how I'm going to get my return on investment. Because again, yeah, we're taking risks, but we're a business. We don't run if we don't have any capital. So we don't spend everything that we have and then don't have a plan to, continue to run the expenses of the business. So switch there. Still, that is my goal is to be debt manageable, right? Meaning that I'm able to handle whatever debt that I take on. It may not necessarily mean I could pay everything off within the same month, but it means that I'm not buried by credit. I'm not, in credit that I have no way of paying or have no strategy around it. So my goal is to be strategic with the debt. Okay. And so the next point that I had was, loving what I do. And I mentioned closing that NFL client. So update on that. Didn't close the NFL client yet, but I actually have some things going on with the NBA. So we will see how that plays out. But yeah, so loving what I'm doing. Now that one is true. Now we finally got to one that I actually accomplished. So I absolutely love what I do. I love working with the clients who are signed on with me right now. I absolutely enjoy the fact that they are just go-getters. They're people who have done great work in their expertise. They are brilliant in what they do. And they now know that it's time to get their brilliance inside of corporate organizations. And that's what I'm all about. So I enjoy the fact that I get to work with people where they've got the foundations down. Like I work with people who are already a beast at marketing, already a beast at sales. And they're just like, help me corporatize this essentially. And I love being able to roll up my sleeves with them and do that. I love the fact that, I have clients that have already signed up with me into 2025, consulting clients that I'm working with to help them build out their team, as well as my traditional coaching clients and even my corporate clients. So I totally enjoy the people that I get to work with. And that is one thing that I will continue to coach myself through. And even though that goal was achieved, how I'm looking at things now is in terms of, what type of people that I want to work with, what type of clients that I want to work with, and being very specific on that, because you want to make space for your people. So I am very discerning, one, about time and the size of the project, and making sure it's a good fit in terms of, who we take on as a client, but also just being very clear that my work is for this particular person, right? And not feeling like I need to get people to see that or, chase them down. Hey, what's going on? No. I want people who want to work with me, right? Want the ones that want you. So that was one thing that I really am moving forward in how I operate, because there is abundance all around me. There are amazing clients that are currently working with me and that are soon to come. So I can, rest assured that my people are going to gravitate to the work that I'm doing, and they're going to work with me to create the amazing things that they desire. And we're just going to get to it. So that's how that works. Let's see. So I celebrated myself for taking the steps back in 2023. If you're new, I actually stepped away from business, work, all things in 2023 for a few weeks just because I had a lot of different things going on. I wanted to recalibrate. I wanted to get really clear on who I want to serve and all of those things. So I celebrate myself for taking that time, and I celebrate myself now for not getting to that point, really understanding and using the tools that I've developed to be able to keep myself centered as the CEO of my business, still giving myself breaks, time, grace, but also being a good steward of the company and putting things in place to allow the company to still run. Okay, lean it further to God. I do that every morning as I'm doing my devotional or prayers. Sometimes I do it in the evening. Anxiety and depression are gone. Now, this one, when I wrote this, I had this idea of, that just being a past, like just no longer experiencing that at all. And while I've made great strides, like literally have not had many episodes of this since then, except for actually yesterday, I had a little bit of anxiety going on. But where I'm still celebrating myself is it's not about it being gone. It's about being able to get through it. And it's about the mentality that I now have when these things come up. So I've worked on so many tools to get through this, and I would definitely suggest others to do it as well. Because as an entrepreneur, as you're creating something, especially if you don't have community, or even if you do have like online community, but the people around you may not be on the same wavelength, you can experience some of these emotional things, and you want to make sure that you have tools to get through them. So I'm celebrating the fact that I'm leveraging my tools, I'm facing these things, and I'm not trying to run and hide, from them, but I'm actually saying, how can I get through this? That I'm okay, giving myself those different affirmations to be able to move forward. So it's not about it being gone, it's about being able to move through it. And that's what I'm most celebrating in this season. So I am me 2.0, and my son is thriving, and I am building a relationship with him, and also understanding, we've been building our relationship since the day he was born, but just also understanding that he is going to have to blossom now in this season. I kept him with me. I kept him close since the day that he was born in October of 2020. And so now as he's growing and thriving and learning, I understand and I'm opening myself to the fact that we may have to add other people in the mix, or, I may have to let him go to experience other things. So, and still continue to keep that close bond that we have. Marriage is thriving, growing into what we both need to be in this phase. This is still an ongoing project, if I'm honest. And again, when I wrote this, it was more so like, oh, everything is just gonna snap and be perfect. And I think how I'm guiding myself now is not that, people say you never arrive. It's not that this has to be an end destination and these things don't come back up again. It's about building the tools. It's about taking things day by day, step by step, and knowing that one of my pastors says, when you're achieving goals or just in life in general, it's not that you just go on this trajectory up. It's actually cyclical. So that as you go through certain things, you go through this cycle, and then it comes back again. Like, it's not that you just keep going up and up and up. At the next level, you may approach a similar problem, that you have to address. So knowing that now gives me peace, because it's not that when I wrote this letter, it was like everything has to be figured out. And what I'm telling myself now is that it doesn't. It doesn't. It actually doesn't. Like, free yourself. Everything does not have to be solved in a year's time frame in the case of this letter, or whatever time frame. All you can do is continue to strengthen your tools and strengthen who you are day by day, and just trust that it's all going to continue to develop and build out in the way that it's supposed to be. So freedom moment moving forward is not to create these goals that appear to just be arrival, or, just everything is just done. Anxiety, I'm just done with it and never going to experience again. No, I may experience it again. And what's going to make me stronger and how I'm going to improve is the time it takes for me to recover, the way that I respond to these events. Not that they won't occur. How do I respond? So I'm celebrating myself for that. Okay, so the next one was in here, Forbes 30 under 30. Obviously, I still have time, but Forbes 30 under 30 actually is no longer it's no longer a goal of mine, quite honestly. And when I wrote this, I, again, in that corporate mindset, felt like I needed to stack certain achievements. And Forbes 30 under 30 was just like another one to add to that. Like, oh, yeah, I want this. I want this accolade. I want this award and all these different things. So that was one of those. And what I have been learning, what I feel the Lord has been guiding me through, especially over the past couple of weeks, as this question has been coming up of, who are you without this? Who are you without the accolades? Who are you without the car? Who are you without this? Who are you without that? And I really had to start thinking, well, who am I? And then the next words that came to me were like, you don't need any of that stuff. Like, you really don't. You can, step into who you are and your expertise and your power. And it doesn't have to be tied to any of these external things. This is stuff that I've already put in you. And that freed me a lot to get away from trying to stack up all these, achievements to prove any type of worthiness and things of that nature. I am so done with that. So when I wrote this letter a year ago, that was a story playing in my head that if I achieve this thing, then that just makes me, again, more attractive to the next phase that I'm going to. And again, corporate mindset, because that's how it works. You get this award, you get this recognition, you are moved up to the next level. It's like playing a game, right? Do this, next level, do this, next level. But when you're creating something, when you're stepping into passion outside of those walls, it's really not about this certain recipe of success. It's what is determined to be your recipe of success. And that is only through the doing. It's not through the reading. It's not through the, achievements of all these accomplishments and things. And so, although this goal was not achieved and may not be, I don't know, again, it's still a couple months, but it may not be achieved, but I'm okay with that. And I am good with looking at goals and achievements and things that actually matter and not just things that will just be another add to my resume. So I'm good with the fact that that may not happen. And I know that there are going to be plenty of other accolades or plenty of other things that I'll be doing, but it'll be as a result of me following my purpose and my passion, not just trying to, what can I get so that, people see me as this. I have to detach from that. And I'm actively continuing to do that. So next part is, you're most grateful for your health, family, and peace of mind. Absolutely. Remembering that I'm not my mistakes and those things are dead is definitely how I'm operating in this season, is that perfection is not the goal. I think that I recognize that was a theme for me that was actually holding me back from stepping into some of the things, because I wanted it to be perfect. I didn't want to put myself out there unless it was all buttoned up and pretty. And y'all know all the things. I'm sure that you've gone through this as well. Again, I'm being fully transparent to support you guys, especially if you're going through similar things. And what I realized is none of that matters. Mistakes don't matter. Being imperfect is an opportunity to learn. It's not a death sentence. It's not a hit to your ego or a hit to who you are and the expertise that you have. You're still that girl. I'm still that girl, right? So the last parts that I wrote was just kind of celebrating myself, enjoying spending time with my family and the fruit of what I created for generations to come, which is an ongoing prayer that I'm continuing to celebrate myself for. So that was my letter. Again, it was not super long. I know some people popped in and out, but I was reading a letter that I wrote to myself literally 1 year ago. 4/27/23 is when I wrote this letter, and a mentor encouraged us to get on live and read through it. And I decided to expand it a little bit and just talk through each area, what I have achieved, how I'm coaching myself moving forward, and all the things. So I'm excited for this. And perhaps next year on 4/27/25, I can come back to this particular video and talk about the things moving forward based on what I shared and who I am today, how I've evolved from there. So that could be pretty cool. But here's what I want to leave you with in this, and why I wanted to share all of this from the onset, is that when it comes to going after corporate contracts or creating anything amazing in your life or in your business, it's not just about, what you put on the paper. It's about who you decide to be. And I think if I can say the greatest lesson that I've learned, and there have been so many from last year to this year, is it's about who you see yourself and who you believe you are. That's the extent to which you're going to go after these goals. When I'm thinking about the people that I talk to who want to get into corporate contracts and they're like, they're already doing them, but referral based, they're not sure how to put themselves out there. You know exactly how to put yourself out there. But how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as someone that you can only get these opportunities when they ask you for it? Or do you see someone that can step in the room and show your expertise with people who don't know you and can still hold your own in who you are and what you're supposed to do and close the deal? Because if you see yourself like that, then you know exactly what to do in order to make that situation happen for you. I'm there to guide and push you and to pull you in different directions, and also share my expertise and, my background in doing this in order to help you craft that plan. But you have the power in you to be able to step into these spaces as the expert and ultimately help solve their problems, because that's what you're looking to do. That's the whole point of all of this, is solving their problems. All right, so that is transparency moment for this week. Again, this was a very different episode than what I typically do. So definitely tune back in with us next week if you want to learn more on the corporate contracting process, and leave a comment if this resonated with you. I'd really love to know, kind of how sharing a little bit of the behind the scenes, behind the curtain may have blessed you all, opened up a door for you, or even just helped you as you're crafting your goals moving forward, whether that's in corporate contracting or in other areas of your business. All right, so as always, there's an invitation out here to work with me if you want to make your goals a reality when it comes into corporate contracting and you want my support to be able to do that. There's 2 ways that I'm going to share with you quickly today. This is the end of the training. So if you are, you've gone through that, you're definitely free to go. But I do want to give those who are here an invitation to be able to work with me. So if you're interested in that, stay on. So 2 ways that I want to share with you today. Number 1 is through my coaching. So I do individual coaching with individuals, obviously that's redundant, on how exactly they can implement a marketing and sales system into their business to attract and close corporate leads. So I coach them anywhere from 90 days, 6 months, and then we even have some year containers in where we do that. And we go through my three-phase framework, say that fast, in order to do those things. So if that is something, my coaching, whether that is in a full-on program, we also have VIP days and intensives as well, then I would like you to DM me the word coaching, and let's set up a call and talk about how I can support you. The second phase, and this is more so on the consulting side, if you have a team or you're looking to expand your team with some individuals who can do some of the B2B lead generation for you, the marketing and things of that nature, I would invite you to work with me on the consulting side. And essentially what we do there is either create or refine your corporate contracting business model. So we go in, we dive into your offers, we look at what you're currently doing for marketing, we help you find your ideal client, we train up your team members to do the outreach for you, and really get that arm of your business set and ready to go. And also work with you on developing your KPIs, your ongoing goal achievements, to make sure that you're on track to reach the revenue goals that you have for your business. So if you are interested in that, and again, you have a team to help you support these efforts, then DM me the word consulting, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what those offers look like and put together a customized proposal for you. All right, so those are 2 ways that you can work with me as of today. Now stay close to my page, because sometimes we have some amazing limited time things that pop up, and I would love to invite you to those. All right, guys, so that is it for this week. I will see you next week, same time, same place on this page for our next episode. Talk to y'all soon.